What's up, everyone? Cruising into week 6 of the college football season here with our SEC Insider this week, Cole Cubelic of SEC Network, as well as Three Man Front on WJOX. Thank you so much for joining us. First things first, we want to talk about this Auburn-Mississippi State matchup. And I'm going to give Dr. Cole a call. So, Dr. Cole, what is the diagnosis? Auburn and Mississippi State both coming into the season, high expectations for those offenses. Sure. Have been a bit of a disappointment up until week 6 of the season here. Let's start with Auburn. What is the biggest ailment? What is the biggest hang-up for this Auburn football team? And I know you're probably going to point to the offensive line. It's probably
No, I think it's more of a mentality, which includes the offensive line. I think it's physicality.
Okay.
And they lack a vicious punch at the point of attack. And if you look at what this offense is predicated on, it's a downhill run game and then play action off of that. And then that opens up some of your perimeter runs, some of the option runs, some of the replays, but you have to have that downhill run game first. Even in the RPO game that's attached to it, the downhill run game must come first. If that's not there, where do you turn? And I actually think that that's a real question that this Auburn coaching staff may be having to ask themselves this week, is that can we continue to be who we thought we were going to be able to be? Because I don't believe, based on what I've seen with the personnel and the execution thus far, they can be that football team offensively.
Okay, we've flipped the page over to Nicky Fitz and company at Mississippi State. We saw what they put together against Florida, obviously taking the loss home at, in Starkville. Is this loss number 3 in a row for Mississippi State with this offense? What is the biggest thing that they need to really work on?
It is pretty interesting that you bring up, you look at Mississippi State on a 2-game losing streak. Auburn's on a 2-game winning streak, and by the way, they beat a conference opponent 2 weeks ago by 30-plus points, and everyone is worried. And they're number 8 in the country.
Yeah.
So these are really 2 different teams in 2 different places, but we kind of perceive them to be the same team. The offensive struggles in Mississippi State are a little bit different. You saw the run game there early against Florida, but the intermediate passing game is what has not been there. What you've been looking at is a lack of consistency through the air. So when teams do load up against the run, Nick Fitzgerald is going to have to push those defenders back out or make plays with his arm. Now, he's had a few drops, but the lack of accuracy, even on passes that are catchable, has not necessarily been there. So I also don't think he looks as explosive as he has the last 2 years. But still, that lack of an intermediate passing game and accuracy through that is what is slowing down the Mississippi State offense.
Okay, we'll flip back to Auburn. How do they fix this problem? And I think some people are pointing to play calling. Is that perhaps an issue? You pointed to it earlier, the coaches kind of taking a step back, maybe reevaluating how they game plan against Mississippi State. What is your take on how they fix this offense and get more of that explosive power, especially in the downhill run game?
I wish it was as easy as a doctor, me going to the doctor with a sinus infection and getting a prescription
Z-Pack?
for a Z-Pack and being done with it. This is not a one-line prescription as
right.
to how to repair this. Because what you look at, Lauren, is yes, you have a lack of physicality. Yes, you lack a downhill running back that you can rely on for 20, 30 carries a game, especially if it looks like Whitlow a little bit banged up last week. The offensive line has not played great football. Well, execution also hasn't been there. You watch them run an inside zone to the left, and the front side linebacker just goes unblocked. Those things can't happen, and that's the difference between the biggest difference between offensive and defensive football is on defensive football, one player can make you. And on offensive football, one player can break you because one guy misses his assignment and it's over. And I think it's been a lack of execution, a lack of physicality, certain times play calling. When you see them backed up a 3rd and 17 on your own 4 and you're running 4 verticals, like that to me just kind of said you're not giving your team a really good chance for success on a play like that when your offensive line has been having protection issues. So plenty of blame to go around. We could have sat here 2 weeks ago and 90% of Auburn fans would have said, get a new center in the game. And they thought that would have fixed all the problems.
Just like that, right?
Well, you get a new center in the game, and guess what? It wasn't a whole lot better last week against Southern Miss. Plenty of problems to go around. The good news if you're Auburn right now. So I'll give you a little home remedy for Auburn just to sort of make you feel better. This might not actually treat the symptoms, but it may make you feel a little bit better moving forward. If you can find a way to get this win against Mississippi State, you're number 8 in the country. You're a one-loss football team. That one loss came to number 5 by a field goal at the end of regulation. You have Ole Miss and Tennessee on deck, and then a bye week before you play Texas A&M at home. Haven't ultimately been successful against A&M at home since they joined the conference. But if you can get this win, stay in the top 10, you have a couple weeks to sort of figure this thing out. To go back to the drawing board and say, maybe we need to reinvent ourselves this way, or maybe we need to try this initially and build upon this part of our offense first and foremost. So that would be sort of the good news that may make Auburn fans feel better moving forward.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of implications in this game for Auburn especially. So that leads me to my final question. We'll make this one pretty quick here. When you look at the body of work between both teams through 5 weeks of the college football season, who is better positioned to win this football game? And obviously you get Starkville, the Cowbells, everybody goes crazy. They're coming off their second loss to Dan Mullen, the Dan Who. So who do you think, though, if you maybe take the home environment out of it, who is the team better positioned to win this?
I'm still going to say Jarrett Stidham has outplayed Nick Fitzgerald to this point in the season, and it's close. But because of that, and because the Auburn defense has played maybe a tick above what Mississippi State's defense has played, I would lean Auburn a little bit in this game. But right now, Lauren, I think it's a toss-up because you kind of mentioned it. They're two teams that sort of mirror themselves. Other than where Auburn is and where State is and the records, both teams have played pretty good defense. Both teams have been tested. Both teams are struggling with one aspect of their offense that we thought was going to be really good. We thought Nick Fitzgerald was going to be great in Joe Moorhead's system. We thought Auburn was going to be able to run the football and be great on offense. So neither one of those two sides of the football has been going. So I would lean Auburn right now, but they're probably in a better position because I think it's an easier fix if the coaches actually decide to do it for Auburn than it is. Because Auburn can go out and run the football through the air. They can allow Jarrett Stidham to go quick throws, and they can do that. Nick Fitzgerald improving on his accuracy, that doesn't happen just based on what the coaches call before the play and before the ball is snapped.
All right, that's Dr. Cole here. Our session is officially over with Dr. Cole. Thank you for giving us some enlightening details on this upcoming matchup between Auburn and Mississippi State. Of course, for all your Auburn Tiger updates, you can visit us on AL.com. This video was brought to you by Caliber, a luxury store in Homewood, Alabama that's reviving the finer things in hunting and fishing.